Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica. I'm with the San Mateo County Libraries, and today I'm going to show you how to create watercolor drip art. So it's going to look something like this, depending on how you decide to make it, or it might look like this. So there's a couple different options. So first, let's get our supplies ready. So what you're going to need today are some watercolors. So you can use a palette like this. Or if you happen to have some liquid watercolors, those already come already made as liquid. Or you could even use some food coloring because it's going to be drip art. So we're going to drip it on the paper, and these work really good for that. You are going to need a cup of water. So I have mine here. It already has some color in it. And you are going to need a thick piece of paper. Or you could use some sort of absorbent paper like a coffee filter. That works really good. Or even you could use a paper towel if you wanted. That ends up looking really cool too. Let's see, you'll also need either a paintbrush like this or a pipette if you happen to have a pipette. Or again, if you're using the food coloring, you can just use that to drip it on the paper. So lots of options. If you happen to have the kind of watercolor palette where you can pop the colors out, then you are going to want to go ahead and do that. If you don't have that kind, then you can just add as much water as you can fit onto the paint without letting those colors run into each other. And if they do run a bit, then that's okay. It happens. We learn to use it, and it teaches us different ways to try out our art. All right, so today I'm going to be using my liquid watercolors and my pipette. Pipettes are really fun, and they make drip art really easy. And you can usually pick them up at art stores or online. All right, so do you have what you're going to use in front of you? Great, so let's get started. So I'm going to put my paper down, and we are going to grab either our pipette or our brush. And if you're using a brush, you're going to want to get it really wet, and you're going to want to get any colors you want to use on your palette. You're going to want to fill that up with lots of water, as much water as you can, because we're going to want to make it easy to drip onto our palette or onto our paper. So once you feel like you have enough water in there and you have a really wet brush, you're going to take that and you are going to go ahead and you can just drip, 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 drip it on the paper. You can even tap it on the paper however you want to do it. So that's how you're going to do it with a brush. And I like to use the pipette because it creates a cool drip effect. So I'll go ahead and I will take a little bit of color in the pipette, and I'm just going to drip it just like that. And it just drips really nicely. And let's see, so I'm going to start with some red. So this is red that I'm dripping on here. What color are you going to start with? Are you starting with red too? What other colors could you start with? I'm so interested to hear what you could be doing. Let's see now. Let's see what happens if we drip a different color on top of here or nearby. So let's see, so I had red, so now I'm going to take a little bit of blue and I'm going to drip that onto my paper. So I can see that it's mixing with some of that red and it's starting to turn kind of a purpley color a little bit. What happened when you dripped it? Did yours change colors at all? What other colors did you use? There's lots of options. So let's see, so when you've dripped all the color that you want to drip on there, so you can drip more colors or you could leave it like this, but once you get it to that point where you feel like you're done and you like that amount of color, then you have some options. So one thing you can do is that you can leave it just like this and leave it out to dry. It'll probably take a while because it's really wet, but that's one option. And then another option is to take a paper towel, like a clean paper towel. Mine has a little color on it, but get a clean paper towel and you can just press down a little bit on your color. And I'll show you. So I did it with just a little bit on this side. So you can see it's way lighter than this other color over here that I didn't press down. And that takes a lot of the water away. And so it takes less time to dry. And it just ends up looking a little bit lighter that way. So if you feel like your colors are too dark and you want it to look lighter, you can press it with a paper towel and do that. And now the other thing, the last thing, so another option if you don't like those options that you could try is that you could tilt your paper to the side and make your colors run down the paper. Just make sure that you have a towel or a piece of plastic down under the paper. Otherwise, you're gonna get wet color all over your workspace and you don't want that. So I have some plastic down and I'm gonna show you. So I'm just gonna take my paper and I'm gonna tilt it right like that. And look at that, look at the colors running down. And it's dripping on my plastic, but that's okay. That's why I have the plastic down there. All right, and so that's creating another added drip effect. So you can just leave that out to dry, just like the other options. So those are the 3 ways to finish that. And now, let's see. How does yours look? Which way did you decide to do? Did you decide to drip it? Did you decide to pat it? Or did you decide just to leave the drips the way they were? Each way creates a different effect, and whatever way you decide to do, I'm sure it looks great. All right, now I'm going to show you how it looks if you try some of our different kind of paper options. So if you take a coffee filter or a paper towel, these are fun options because they soak up the color really well. And a lot of times the color looks lighter on there and they mix together in a different way than they would on paper. So let me go ahead and just show you real fast how that looks. So I'm going to take my pipette again, or you can take your brush. Let's see, I'm going to get a different color. I think I'm going to get some of my orangey color and try to flatten your coffee filter out as much as you can. Sometimes you can't flatten them out all the way and that's okay. So I'm just going to, so just take it and drip, 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 drip. All right, and so there you can see that mine is dripping like that, and it's kind of spreading out and creating kind of an interesting shape. So let's flatten it out again a little bit. And now I'm gonna try a different color. So what color are you gonna pick? Let's see how they mix together. So I tried yellow, and now I'm gonna take some purple. So let's see how that looks on there. So I'm gonna drip that out. Let's see, how does that mix together? Let's see. So purple and yellow a lot of times look really nice together because they're complementary colors, but they also don't always mix very well. Sometimes they kind of mix and create a brown color. But these are things we learn as we practice art. All right, so let's see. So maybe, let's see what happens if I put another color on there. Let's see if I put some blue on there. Let's see what happens, just a little bit. Ooh, that looks interesting. So there's that. Now you can see the blue. You can't see it super good on video, but I can already see the blue is mixing with the yellow and creating kind of a cool green color. So remember to experiment and see what happens when you mix different colors, because there's lots of variations you can find. And remember that a little bit of color goes a long way. So if you use a lot of color, then it takes longer to dry, and sometimes the colors will turn kind of brown or black if you use a whole bunch of color. But maybe you want it like that, and that's great. Just know that that might happen when you use a lot of color. So now you can set it aside and dry, and you'll have an awesome piece of watercolor art. And you can do the same thing if you use a paper towel. So this is a paper towel I dripped on earlier. So it kind of creates the same sort of effect that the coffee filter does, just a little different. But definitely try different versions if you have all these supplies with you, or just use whatever you have on hand. I'd love to see what you create. If you post to social media, please tag the library. We're at SMC Libraries, and make sure you use the hashtag SMCL Creates, and I have my handy dandy written out hashtags here. So if you do post, please do use the hashtag and tag the library. I do check the tags, and I love to see what you guys create. Very cool. And don't forget to join our Summer Learning Challenge, where you can earn a chance to win a $1,000 scholarship. And details can be found on www.summerlearners.org. And while I'm here, I want to remind everyone that it's census time. It's safe and easy to do at my2020census.gov. So that wraps it up for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. And until then, check out smcl.org for lots of cool, really awesome resources. All right, thank you for joining me. Goodbye.